It's a pleasure for me to tell you about. My mother, Marichu Bilby, was an interior decorator, and in the 1950s she saw a painting of a black-eyed boy that went straight to her heart because she had lost a black-eyed baby at 9 months, 10 years before. So she asked who was the artist, and the answer was a recent emigre from Latvia, from Europe. He had survived the Holocaust in part by drawing photos from photos guards would give him. He'd draw their children, and made his way to America. And my mother said, I'd like him to draw from a photograph the little baby girl that I lost, whom they called Nani, and my 2 living daughters. So in 1951, I was 6 years old, and this very lithesome man with blonde curly hair and blue eyes walks into our living room in Glendale, California, and tells me to sit down and be still, and he puts up his easel and he has his box of pastels, and over a couple of sittings, maybe 2, he painted this portrait of me when I was 6. And that's how I met him many years ago. 50 years later, he asked me to write a story. He had never talked about what happened to him in the Holocaust. And he was 78 when he asked. He was 27 when he painted this portrait. And I was out with my mom in Palm Springs. I was flying out from DC. I said to Common, bring some of your art, we'll get together. And we had lunch, and he said, Susan, I just saw The Pianist. I've never wanted to tell my story. It gave me permission. I do not trust the people who have asked to write it or film it in the past. And with his blue eyes, he turned to me and said, will you write my story? And that was in 2003. Took me 9 years, and the result is the book, Into the Light, The Healing Art of Common Aaron. And it's a pleasure to share this man's story. But it all began on that day when I was 6 years old in Glendale, California, when he painted my portrait.